Thank you for joining us today for this exclusive interview with Jhone Lucas. Jhone Lucas is a host and actress. She's currently the host of a new political series, The Gen Zone. The show is produced by Damian Douglas and it premiered on October 11th on Fox Soul. The Gen Zone is an interactive weekly news show that delivers reactionary commentary regarding both national and international politics. The Gen Zone also incorporates popular viral moments and meme culture to create a platform where politics don't have to be boring but fun, and it's still informative. Please join me in welcoming Jhone Lucas.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Most definitely. Jhone, it's a pleasure to meet you. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's been a day. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. We're getting over the hump. Now the week should be a breeze.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. And how's the weather where you're currently at?
I'm in Los Angeles right now, so it was raining. It rained overnight. When I went outside, it was wet, and I was confused. I was like, okay, we're getting some water, finally, great. But I think the sun is out now, and it's like probably like mid 70s. It's not too bad. It's
that's perfect.
So I'm grateful.
And I'm originally from Chicago. Where are you originally from?
I'm from Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, Midwest mommies. What's up?
And we're going to talk about the Gen Zone in just a moment. But before we do, can you just start off by telling us a bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So as I said, I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. I went to Creighton University, got my degree in journalism, and decided that I wanted to use that. And I went out to New York, and my first job post-graduation was assisting, at the time she was a CNN political commentator, but her name is Simone D. Sanders. And she went from, at that moment, she was Bernie Sanders' press secretary during his campaign. And then she went on to do more commentating. And then she ended up working at the White House for being the senior advisor for Vice President Kamala Harris. So in those early stages, I got to be her assistant, and I learned a lot about politics and working in mainstream media and attending, the Black Caucus and the National Convention, and just being an advocate for politics through her. And I decided that's something that I wanted to further do on my own. As I was also pursuing acting, I came out here to LA and decided to attack that. And I came out here in 2020. So I've been able to do 2 movies and 3 TV shows. And then I just did my first commercial last month. So, it's a journey, but it's picking up. And in the meantime, I was also able to be the host of the Gen Zone, which I started in 2020. And now it's taking off on Fox Soul.
Yes, we'd love to see it. And can you tell us more about the show, the Gen Zone?
Absolutely. So the Gen Zone, we started in 2020, just before the presidential election, just because we wanted to make sure that a lot of people were going to be registered and get out there and vote. Now, after the 2016 election, a lot of Generation Z got involved in politics because for the first time ever, we had a president that was being more vocal than ever and more honest than ever. He was tweeting, he was finding a way to communicate with the younger generation. But not only that, he was also completely obvious with his divisiveness and slight racism. So it got a lot of people involved. And then when the 2018 midterms turned around, our generation didn't really show up for that. So Trump was able to appoint the most federal judges a president has in history. And he was even able to appoint a Supreme Court justice that had no prior experience. I'm talking about Amy Coney Barrett, by the way. So I wanted to find a way to get people engaged so that they could be informed and aware of what was going on. So we did a voter registration event in Atlanta with the Trap Music Museum, and we had a great turnout and a lot of people showed up. So we decided, okay, if we can find a way to engage people and make it entertaining and, include the culture and politics,
Mhm.
then we'll be able to achieve our goal. So we decided to start the Gen Zone after that voter registration event, and we've been doing it consistently ever since. And I'm pretty excited about the progress and the audience that we have collected along the way.
That's great. And excuse me, for the upcoming election, how is that going so far? Like, are you seeing like a difference in that compared to like the 2016 election so far?
Well, yes, I'm very hopeful because in 2020, Gen Z turned out to be the largest voting bloc in the presidential election. So now that we have everybody on board and they're paying attention, it's keeping their attention so that they can vote for their local elections as well. So I'm
Mhm.
pretty optimistic, especially because there's been some crazy stuff going on in regards to politics that has affected us directly. Our generation is directly affected by President Biden's student loan forgiveness program, right? And there are 6 states in the country that are taking Biden to federal court to appeal that their state will have to pay those students. One being Nebraska, the state that I'm from, Missouri, Arkansas, Iowa, South Carolina. There are issues regarding women's rights, which is directly affecting to our generation, abortion
Mhm.
rights, the inflation, the gas prices, the food shortages. That is all directly affecting us. And I feel like more than ever, people are realizing, okay, my vote does count and I do have a say in these policies that govern my life, especially during COVID. I feel like when nobody had anything else to do, but be on their phone and see what was going on in politics, or to be home and to watch TV and to see what was going on politically, that might have drove more interest for people to get out here and vote.
Most definitely. And what are some of the political topics that are covered on the Gen Zone?
Oh, we have a whole range. We have a whole range of topics. So some of the topics that we talk about, we like to talk about things that are happening on mainstream media and say whether it's being falsified or overhyped and debunk it, or if there's some truth behind it. So, one of the topics that we talked about was Biden pardoning the marijuana possessions federally, right? Everybody was talking about it, was on all the news platforms, and they were applauding him. We even applauded him the week prior. We did a little bit more research and we found out that, okay, people that are in federal prison aren't there for petty marijuana crimes. If they are in state federal prison, then they have some other charges attached to them as well. So
Mhm.
pardoning them of that one marijuana crime is not going to necessarily free them or reunite them with their families. And that was the angle that was definitely being presented by liberal media. So we wanted to shed light on that, but we also have a whole segment called QAnon conspiracies, where I'm not sure if you know or if you're keen to QAnon and the cult that it is, the conspiracy cult that it is. But we like to bring, uh, we like to share with everyone what the new conspiracy of the week is, so that they can be informed and they won't be blindsided like how everybody was blindsided January 6th. So we've been
Mhm.
following QAnon for a very long time, so much so that we were able to be one step ahead of the game when it came to being in DC on January 6th, because that's all that they were talking about. So the Gen Zone team was out there, and we were there for Trump's last rally. They were calling it Trump's last stand. So we were there for that, and we got to speak to some people. We have interviews and we have footage on January 6th. And it's definitely something that I feel like separates us from other news cycles, is
Mhm.
because we're able to have our finger on the pulse and follow that intuition, which got us there. But we like to also highlight the candidates that were running. So up until this point, we have highlighted a candidate that's running for office and whether or not they can or can't do what they say they're going to do. We had candidate for LA Mayor Karen Bass on the show for our very first episode on Fox Soul. We
Mhm.
also had a candidate for Attorney General of Sacramento on the show. She was on the show this past June for the Sacramento primaries. So we like to do that. We also like to shed light on Republicans and Democrats, share one good story and one bad story about what they're up to, because it's a whole war between them. And yeah, we have a lot. It's a 26-minute show, but we like to fill it with jokes and make it engaging and entertaining so that it's not dreadful to watch or boring.
Mm-hmm. And my next question kind of stems into like what you just talked about. If you can answer that, who are some of the guests who you plan on having like on any upcoming shows?
Oh, guests that I plan on having on the upcoming shows. Okay, we have a booker, so a booking person that reaches out to guests to do that. I was lucky to secure Karen Bass on my own because I
Mm-hmm.
had met her at a dinner event that she did this past summer. And we talked about getting the youth involved and how important it is for LA. So she actually does meetings every Monday, and it's called Karen Youth for Bass, right? So it's all the youth that are involved in politics, and they talk to her about what they think is, or their issues or their concerns with Los Angeles, and they come up with strategies or policies that can help solve that. And she does that every Monday, and she hasn't stopped. So we talked a lot about that, and then I was able to be on a Zoom call with her as she got endorsed by Secretary Hillary Clinton. And I also talked about the importance of getting Gen Z on board because, we are the future. So
Mm-hmm.
I was very lucky to establish that relationship with her and to get that interview on my own. But another guest that we just had a couple weeks back was the police commissioner of Suffolk County in New York. And he was the former chief of patrol for NYPD. So we had him on there talking about crime in New York and whether social media has made the job harder or easier. And basically, whenever it comes to a Black person encountering the police, unfortunately, it can turn into someone getting shot for no reason. So we talked about ways that we can prevent that and mend the relationship between the Black community and the police force.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a great interview to have as well. You guys can definitely check that out. It's on YouTube on Foxhole. And I'm not sure who else is on the ballot. I know that we're going to do a panel next week when we find out the election results. We're going to have a panel with some guests to discuss the results and what this means for their state. So I'm not sure who those people are going to be yet, but stay tuned because we had some really good guests so far, and I'm excited.
That sounds so exciting. And for my next question, the show uses a humorous approach to relate to younger generation media users. Do you think that humor is something that appeals to more like millennials and Gen Z?
Absolutely. I feel like, if you can laugh about a situation, it almost kind of makes it better.
Mhm.
Something really bad happening. If you could throw a joke into it, it makes it more accepting. So the fact that they were some of these candidates for governor and senator literally believe that life begins at the moment of conception, right? And that's completely insane. But if you throw a joke in there, that's like, okay, well, you guys should plan for plan A instead of plan B. It makes the hard news a little bit easier to accept, right? Or if we
Mhm.
talk about the fact that Governor Ron DeSantis sent 50 migrants to Martha's Vineyard, which is completely unacceptable. You cannot use vulnerable people as political pawns. But if you can make a joke out of it, then it makes the news a little bit more lighter to intake, you know?
Mhm. Most definitely. And in general, how do you think this show will spark a new interest in politics for younger viewers?
I feel like because it has that humorous approach and it makes it more relatable. Like
Mhm.
I feel like that is going to be the change. That's going to be the difference. It's not just sitting in front of the TV and listening to this and listening to these numbers and these boring statistics. Like it's literally having a conversation with me like I'm talking to you now. I'm just talking to the people and I'm keeping it 100 about everything that's going on in our politics so that you can be aware, and I'm keeping it short, sweet, and to the point. and making it easy for everyone to understand as well.
Yes. And it's great. We appreciate the transparency. I do agree, Gen Z, we do like for people to be transparent with us. And I definitely agree about the humor too. It definitely lightens the mood.
And our attention span is really small. So if you're gonna tell us something, you got to get to it. Like
Straight to the point.
straight to the point. Like don't lollygag around the bush. Like just get to it. And that's what we like to do. We like to just get to the facts. Like these are the
Most
facts.
definitely.
Now you make your own decision or you form your own opinion, but these are the facts of what's happening. This is the Republican side of this, and this is the Democrat side of that. Now you decide what your side is going to be. You know.
Mhm. And for my last question, what are some of the reviews or reaction that you've seen or heard about the show?
So I'm super excited because one of the viewers was telling me that they were torn between voting for Karen Bass and Rick Caruso for mayor of LA. And they were like, after watching the interview that we had did with her, they appreciated what her strategy was going to be for the homelessness.
Mhm.
And our interview is what made them decide that they're going to vote Karen Bass. So I appreciate that feedback. Also, all of my friends who are my age, they tune in every Tuesday, and now they're aware of what's going on politically. Because of social media and the blog sites, like people stay so much into these celebrities' business and what's going on in their personal lives, and that does
Mhm.
not affect you. That does not affect us. That does not affect our daily lives. But for whatever reason, it's interesting. It's the drama of it. It's the meme culture of what's going on with these celebrated people. So if we can do that with politics, that definitely makes them more interested. So my friends, they tune in every Tuesday and they watch, and now they know what's going on in our government, and I love that because I feel like I'm creating a shift. If I can start it with my 10 group of friends, then that means that they're starting it with other people and their friends and their friends and their friends, and they're spreading the word. So I
Mhm.
love that it's creating a shift, and it's something that people are tuning into. It's not often that, if it's not a late night show like Bill Maher, John Oliver, or Trevor Noah, where people are waiting to tune into the late night show, that's not often that people our age are doing that. So the fact that they're tuning in on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. or at 9 p.m. Eastern time, that definitely makes me feel good. And I love that feedback because it means that, that we're keeping their attention and they're looking forward to it.
Mhm. Yes, we love to see it. Thank you again for joining us today, Jhone. Everyone, tune in next week for a new episode of the Gen Zone. New episodes air weekly on Fox Soul, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific time and
Yep,
9 p.m. Eastern time. You can also go
absolutely.
to their website to see full episodes and more information about the show. And I think that we do have your Instagram page. It's at the Gen Zone on
Absolutely.
Instagram.
It's at the Gen Zone. But most importantly, also, aside from watching the Gen Zone on Tuesday, make sure that y'all vote. You can vote early or you can vote on that day, Tuesday, November 8th. Make sure you cast your ballot. Your vote counts. Your vote is important. You want to see policies change that govern your life. You want to be the one that decide the judges in the courts. Nobody looks forward or can even foresee the fact of being behind a judge in court, whether you committed a crime or you're a victim who a crime was committed against you. You want to make sure that there's somebody on that stand or behind with that gavel that is going to rule in your favor and not against you.
Yes. Everyone, like John A said, go out and vote. Your vote counts. And don't forget to like, comment, and share this interview. The interview can be found on our Facebook page at Afro American Newspapers. Also, go to our social media pages and give us a follow. And thank you again, John A. This was truly a pleasure. Gen Z, go out and vote.
Thank you, Courtney. Absolutely. This was definitely a pleasure. Have a great day.
Thank you.